Well, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Glenn and you're watching Sniper Photography. Today, something a little bit different. A little bit of a challenge for myself, but also a challenge for you. But this video is probably aimed towards people that only own one camera and one lens like this. More about this in a moment. What I will be talking to you about is if you're the owner of a one camera body and one lens, and you're thinking that maybe you should upgrade to get better images, well, unfortunately, that's not how it works with photography. So today I'm going to show you what you can achieve if you're the owner of a one camera body and one lens. If you're the owner of this type of equipment, I suggest you stay tuned because this video is for you. Just like to offer a big shout out to Touchdown Digital, the sponsor of this week's video. Okay, so basically the camera I'm using is a 9-year-old Canon 80D. Flip out screen, great camera, 9 years old though. And I'm using a 24mm fixed focal length 2.8mm lens. This is a kit lens that can only be used on APS-C bodies. Now the reason why I've brought this along this morning and not my full frame gear is because most people that probably watch this channel or is subscribed to this channel uses something like this. They don't use full frame or full frame camera bodies and lenses. Most people that I know use these type of entry-level cameras. But just because it's an entry-level camera, it doesn't mean that you can't get cracking images if you know what to do. And in this video I'll show you exactly how to do it with this type of equipment. It's not that hard. It's quite easy, to be quite honest. I got here just on light. I have taken a couple of images with a lot of fog in the area. This is a beautiful location here. I have been here many times, and more about that later. But basically, that's what I've got. It's a 9-year-old Canon 80D crop sensor body, APS-C, and the 24mm fixed focal length lens. However, I've got a 1.6 crop on this, so this goes to about 38.7mm, which in essence is quite a good focal range for this type of photography. Now this isn't landscape photography, it probably is a little bit, but I'm in an area where there's turf farms, there's equestrian stables, beautiful properties out here, and it's just nice to walk around with very minimal gear. I haven't got a big backpack camera bag with me, no tripod except on the video camera here. So I'm just walking around handheld like this. Just park the car, as you can see, and I'll move to different locations. And while I'm doing that, I'll be talking to you about this type of gear. And as I said, most people that I know photograph with this type of equipment. And they're probably thinking maybe I do need a new camera or a new lens, preferably a new lens, but you really got to think to yourself, why do you need it? So having said that, there's a few more compositions here to take, and what I'll do, I'll move this video camera and I'll show you this beautiful area of northwestern Sydney. As you can see behind me here, I've got this post and rail fence running from my left to the right. And up here, I don't know what that is. It could be a chaff hole, it could be water, it could be anything, but I really don't know what it is. But when you look at a scene like this, and I've just taken that shot, I'll put it on the screen in a minute to show you, but as you can see, I've got the rail to my left and it comes through to that structure there. Quite a nice image. I'll put this on the screen. Let me know what you think. Very good. Okay, as you can see here, same location but a bit closer to the fence. Now, what do we do here? This is where you really need to think about your composition and what you want in your image. Keeping in mind, I'm not using really high-end gear here, great combination, but I do own, you know, full frame gear, but I'm really enjoying using this type of equipment. But as you can see, over here, you've got this fence. This is the horse entry. So what do? Do I shoot through the fence? Do I stand back, take a photo of the fence? But what's really the key part to this image is the path or the road leading, you can see that leading through to the holding yards over there, plus you've got the fog. Quite an interesting scene. This is where you have to be visually aware of what's around you, because the light is slowly changing here, and so are my settings. Now I'm on manual here, and the last 3 shots I took were at 1/15 of a second handheld. My ISO was 800. Now this camera, of all things, being a crop sensor, handles higher ISOs fairly well. Don't be afraid to raise your ISO or your ISO. Don't be afraid to raise it. You know, 100 is excellent, but sometimes you've got to raise it, and that's how it happens. So I'll take a couple of shots here. I'll incorporate the fence, the gate, then I'll lean over the gate and take that path. So here we go. We just look at it. There's a couple of horses down there. We won't bother them. And we'll see what we get. I'm on manual focus. And yeah, that looks all right. I'll take this one and have a look at it. Okay, the sky is blowing out. So what do? Well, if we close down our aperture, what will happen is the foreground, being the fence, will be in darkness. But we can control the sky. So what we can do here now is take a meter reading of the sky and the ground, and in between that will be your correct exposure. Not difficult to do, you just have to think. Let's try that. Okay. Manual focus. Here we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, one thing about this image is you'll see how the timber on the gate comes down at a 45. That I had to put in the bottom of the frame to make it symmetrical. This is now where you're using shapes. This is how you're starting to think about photography. You're starting to think about what's in front of you. Now, I was going to lean over the fence, over the gate, but I think I won't, because looking at what I've got here, and I'll put this on the screen, it's not too bad. But I've also noticed something else. There's a padlock and a chain on the gate. So why don't we photograph that? And once I do, I'll put that on the screen. Okay, I've moved the camera so you're not in the sun. Now I've got this post, big solid post, and there's big timber fences here because there's some big animals over here, horses and cattle. So what I'm going to put my camera on top of the post. So I'm using the post as stability. This is my tripod, to be quite honest, this timber post. So what we'll do, we'll compose the image, but what I have got here, I've got a rail running this way, and then a rail running that way, but I've got trees and I've got sun coming up in the left-hand corner. This is going to be a nice day here today. So let's talk about settings. Basically, let's see there. Automatically, I'm at 50th of a second because I'm on a solid structure. 6.3, what I might do, I want depth of field here, so I'm going to close down my, I'm raising the shutter speed now at 1/25th of a second, or 1/25 of a second. 6.3, 7.1, 8, getting too dark, too dark. Let's go f8. Now I'm going to switch to autofocus because I can't reach it because this is a pancake lens and it's very, very small. I'll show you. See how small it is? So to grab the focus ring, it's a bit difficult. So what we'll do, we'll frame it up like this. Take the shot. Let's have a look. Yeah, I can work with that. There's a little bit of overexposed there, but shooting raw, I can fix that in post. So far, so good. But it is a challenge using equipment like this, but it's not impossible to do. And as I said earlier in the video, a lot of people use cameras like this and lenses. Get out there and practice with it. And I want you to make mistakes because that's how you learn photography. You make mistakes and you learn. And there's still lots to photograph here. As I said, I've been here many, many times and I love coming back to the same location over a period of time, but a little bit more about that in a moment. So what I might do, I might take another few shots. It's great if you can get into rural areas like this. It's quiet, except for the birds. They're waking up and having some breakfast. But this is just a fantastic location for photography because there's a lot of man-made farming structure here. And don't be afraid to photograph that. So what I'm going to do, I'll move the camera and the video camera. I might take one more shot here and just see how we go. But as I'm going along, I'm putting these up on the screen and I'll take a few more shots and I'll get back to you very shortly. Okay. Yep. Well, as you can see behind me here, we've got this waterway, our creek bed running through from one side of the property to the other. And there's this brick pillar here, or concrete pillar, which I rested up against because, once again, I'm at 1/30th of a second and f11, ISO 400, and there's fog settling over the water. Quite a nice image. I'll just have a look. Yeah, that's going to be very, very nice. I'll put that on the screen so you can take a look. But once again, this is all about looking at what's in front of you. What do we want to photograph? What story are we telling? And the story here is there's fog, there's reflection, and it's a story of farming land. So this photograph is telling you this must have been taken at a rural farming area, which it is. So most photographs are good photographs, don't need any description. If they're taken correctly, the people looking at it, and most people are smart, they can work out where it was taken. So good photographs don't really need a description. But as I said, this crop sensor body, 9-year-old Canon 80D, which is my indoor video camera, by the way, it's working brilliantly. It's just a really nice camera to use, actually, for APS-C. I know it's been superseded by the 90D, which is another great camera. But yeah, if you're using, or you're the owner of an APS-C size camera, whether it's a digital SLR like this one or a mirrorless camera, don't be afraid to go out and use it and really push it to its limits, because you'll be quite surprised as your skill level builds as a photographer. Your gear really won't matter to you, because the images that I'm getting out of this system, they've been darn good. But I've been doing this for a long time. I'm 61 years of age now, and I've been taking photographs since I was 10. That's nearly 50 years of taking photographs, all the way from film days to digital. So I do know what I'm doing. But having said that, you just go out with the camera gear you've got, and as I said, this video is driven towards, you know, one camera body, one lens owners, APS-C or maybe a mirrorless. Just go out and have some fun. This has been absolutely fantastic walking around here. This is just a beautiful area, and I have been here many times, as I said, because why? Because photography is all about light, and light changes. So I'll take a few more shots and then I'll move to another area just over there where the sun's coming through the trees, and I think I'll get some really nice rays of light. Okay, so basically so far, using just one camera and one lens, it is a challenge, and I believe in life, whether it's photography or not, or something else, you really need to challenge yourself. And this has been a challenge, but it's been an enjoyable challenge because I've got a 24mm fixed focal length lens. It's not a zoom lens, so I have to move. You're not static, you're not in one position like you are with a tripod on most occasions. So it really boils down to looking at your subject, looking for the light and what the light's doing. But this can be done with very minimal equipment. You don't need thousands of dollars in lenses and camera bodies to do this type of photography. If you've got plenty of money and you're a bit of a spendthrift, well then go ahead. But if you're really serious about photography and learning, start with what you've got. And because this camera that I'm using, you know, it's nearly 10 years old, and same with the 24mm lens. I mean, it's damn sharp too. I haven't used it all that much. I brought it in the United States actually. I actually brought both the camera and the 24mm lens in the United States the very first time I went there, which was about 9-10 years ago now. And obviously I've been back since, but I've never really used the 24. And I originally brought the 24 to use as a lens for videos, but it's not really a good video lens because the autofocus tends to hunt too much. Sure, you can use manual focus, but I prefer to use the other video lens that I'm using here today. But yeah, look, the lens is performing really, really well. I can't believe how sharp it is. So if you're an APS-C body owner, Canon, have a look at this 24mm f2.8 lens. It's sharp. It's incredibly sharp. And being a 2.8 in low light conditions like I have had here this morning, well then it worked fantastic. It was brilliant. You can see by the images that I've been showing, and I'll show you a few more at the end of this video. But as I said, this video was designed or directed to people that use APS-C bodies, or, you know, entry-level micro 4/3 cameras. That can do the job, but you have to really look at, take your time with the settings and look at what the light's doing. Move your ISO. Don't be afraid to bump up your ISO. You know, I know, as I said earlier, 100's ideal, but I took some of them shots at 1600. And if you edit your images, which I suggest you do, and preferably shoot in RAW, you can get some really nice images out of equipment like this. And I just don't know why people have this this idea that they need to upgrade to the newest and latest thing. With photography, it's getting more expensive, and I will be doing another video back in studio on the cost of our photography, because I know for a fact, because I have, working in the industry, I have people come and see me on a weekly basis, like account managers from camera companies and distributors, because all cameras are put through distributorship from manufacturer, and they're telling me in the next 2 years cameras are going to go up 30% because the raw materials that go into making this equipment has gone up in price. So new cameras in the next 2 years will be 30% dearer. I mean, you look at a $5,000 Canon body, mirrorless, add 30% on that, just for the camera body. That's outrageous. And if you think you need to spend that money, well, that's financial suicide, quite frankly. You don't need to do it. Unless, I said earlier, you've got plenty of money to burn, which I don't think many people have these days. So if you've got a crop sensor body with a kit lens, you might even have like this video camera, the 200D, which I did place a video about this camera a couple of weeks ago. That's what I'm filming you on now, and it's fantastic. I'm hand holding the thing on a little selfie stick here. You know, you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars to enjoy your photography. You just don't. Just go out and practice. And because I've never met anybody whose skill levels can outshine their camera. I've never met anyone that has that level of skill in photography that they need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on gear that, quite frankly, they don't need. So I'll take a few more shots and I'll get back to you towards the end of this video. Well, that's about it here for this video this morning. Beautiful location, this, just magnificent. If you can get out into rural areas, you can find some fantastic subjects to photograph. A lot of man-made subjects, but having said that, I've had a blast here this morning, just using this very simple, basic entry-level camera with a basic entry-level 24mm pancake lens. Taken some really, really nice shots. So as I said at the beginning of this video, this is designed for people that are shooting with, you know, an entry-level kit. Now, as I said, I've got thousands of dollars worth of equipment, but I've been doing photography for nearly 50 years, so I do know a little bit about photography. But for people that are just, you know, starting out and they've gone from using a phone to, they've brought their first camera, they've brought a, you know, an entry-level camera body and a kit lens, that'll do to get you started. Seriously, you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars getting equipment that you may never need. You mightn't even go through with your photography journey. You might stop and then you've wasted a lot of money. So, but look, basically I think really you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You just don't need to. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I've taken some really, really nice photographs, and it's just a matter of walking around, looking around at what you're doing, and basically, you know, taking in visually in the scene. There'll be a car coming past here in a moment, so I do apologise about the noise because we are in farming land, and you'll hear the car now. There we go, sorry about that. But this is a public area, but magnificent properties, and there's country laneways, a bit like in the UK actually. Yeah, getting back to this, look, I think it's just a matter of going out with what you've got, and it doesn't matter whether you've got a, you know, a basic entry-level thing like this. Seriously, just go and do it. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars until you think you're ready. Because I have not met any photographer that skill levels are up here, but they've outpaced their equipment that they're currently using. I've never met those people. They're probably out there, but I've never met them. So if you've got a crop sensor body with a kit lens, or you just brought a kit with a kit lens and camera body, go out and use it and practice. And I want you to make mistakes, because that's how you learn in photography. Now, what is going on here? Well, this is a little notepad, pen obviously. I've been doing this for years. Now, after every trip, you write down the date, the location and the time, and then you need to put in a column A, B and C. And what that is your images from A to C. Now, you've got to mark yourself. You've got to be a bit hard on yourself. I believe in marking myself throughout my entire life, and we can always do better, let's face it. Let's face the facts. But today I've probably taken a few A-grade images, but mostly B-grade shots, which I'm very happy with, you know. So A, B and C, and then you grade them when you get back home and you start looking at the images that you've taken. So grab a little notepad and a pen, and after every trip, write down the day, date, the time, location, and the weather, what the weather was like when you started and what the weather was like during your outing and then when you finish. Now, the reason why I like to do this, and I've been doing this for a long time, this thing here, is that I can go back in a few months' time and say, geez, I want to go back out to, you know, Bob's farm. I was there 3 months ago. Let's have a look at what the conditions were 3 months ago. So we're having a look like this. And that gives you an idea as to what lens or what equipment to use. And if you're using something like this, well then, why not use it again? Yeah, so basically I've just been walking around here. I've got a camera on a sling. I don't use neck straps. If you've got one of them, throw it away. They are hopeless. And buy a nice sling like this, very secure. And it's just, you can just walk around. You've got freedom of movement. If you want to carry something else, or even a small bag or something like I had in the car here. So at the end of the day, I've had a really, really good time. This system seems to work, just works. And considering I use this camera for my internal YouTube videos, I thought I'd bring it out and take some still images, which I have this morning, but just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, look, if you've got something like this, go out and use it, as I said. And yeah, look, this has been a blast. So also too, before I go, I've had a few new subscribers to this channel, and I really thank you for that. It means a lot to me. I try and get to as many people as possible, and as people know, this channel is all about learning photography. It's not necessarily about this is the best camera for this is the best lens for that. That's a nonsense. I don't talk about that. This is all about learning and encouraging you to go out with the gear you've got and take some wonderful, wonderful images. There's another car coming. I do apologise once again for the noise. It's a farmer in his ute. But that's what you get when you come to these rural areas. There he goes, Farmer Joe. And, you know, you can just have a great time and you're learning at the same time. So think about that. And as I said, thank you to all the new subscribers. It means a hell of a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Please put your comments down below. Let me know what gear you use, and let me know you're thinking about upgrading your equipment. And more importantly, why do you think you need to before you spend all that money? In the next video, I'll be talking about the cost of photography. And I speak to a lot of people, a lot of account managers, representatives from photographic companies and camera companies and importers, and they're telling me that in the next 2 years, camera gear will be going up 30% increase, because the raw material that goes into making this equipment has risen in cost, like all other things in this wonderful wide world of ours. So put your comments and your thoughts down below. I'll certainly get back to you as soon as I can. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography. And as I always say, thank you for joining me. Keep smiling, but more importantly, you keep shooting. Bye for now.